Hello everyone and welcome back to another Thursday Gear Talk. It's 5 o'clock, that means it's Gear Talk time. As you can tell by my attire, we're heading to the islands again. Well, we're not heading to the islands, we're talking about someone from the islands today. Honestly, a lot of this is too small on me now. Yeah, so I kind of just have this over some One Piece. It's pirates, they travel to islands, tropical. I went with that. So today I want to talk about the concept of Tai Kaliso and why Tais Death mattered in the story of Gears of War. Now, I want to lay this one out quick for you guys. Two things. One, I actually have had this one sitting in the wings with two other videos I wanted to talk about with the same premise, and it just so happens for September, I have 3 days this month, I can put out these videos, so it kind of just works out perfectly. Number two, there's gonna be some talk in all three of these videos about a very sensitive subject. It's not really something that YouTube likes people just outwardly talking about. It's the concept of, how do I put it? The idea of like your life, coming the road of it, there's an ending, and that ending involves the individual in question deciding where the ending is. I can say it a little more clearly when we get further into the video because further on in, YouTube doesn't like to really check a lot of things. So we're going to talk about that and why the death of Tai Kaliso mattered in the story of Gears of War. It's important to preference for this too, by the way. Tai Kaliso, we need to talk about him as a character first. I don't want to go too far into detail. I plan on doing his character discussion series sometime in the future, someday. But for the time being, we need to at least talk about him and why his death in particular is such a big deal. So Tai is a South Islander, and he comes from the southern portion where it is fully tribal. It's important to note that he is a warrior. He is very dedicated to that cause. He is a tribal warrior. When you first meet him canonically in the story, the man is wearing a loincloth. This man is very tribal. He comes from his village of people, his wife and daughter. I believe he has a wife and daughter. And all of them are slaughtered and taken out by the UIR. He is the only survivor because he was not in his village at the time. It's important to note, he did not know who did it. He had no clue who did it. He had the idea that it is soldiers. He did not know which soldiers. He just knew there were soldiers on the island. So he, being the badass he is with his chiseled abs, goes in, nothing but a bow and arrow, and he pretty much starts just killing. That's when he comes across another soldier. This soldier is walking away. He does not know Tai is there by what Tai knows. And he's walking away. Tai is lining up his bow. And this individual says, I don't know the words verbatim off the top of my head. It's been a while since the comic. But he pretty much says, I know you're there. I wouldn't shoot if I were you. Don't do it. The entire time, this individual, back to him. We learn this soldier is Marcus goddamn Phoenix. Marcus tells him, yeah, don't do it. I know you're there. And it's crazy to think, Marcus, and this is a feat, we don't bring that up that much for Marcus. Marcus knew the location of Tai, full tribal, with a bow, no sound to him reloading, knew where Tai was, and Tai was scoping him out. That is something we do not talk a lot about in Gears, but that is something that happened. Marcus pretty much tells him, like, hey, listen, we weren't the ones who did that to your village. That was the UIR. We are not the UIR. If you want to come with me and get some revenge for your people, fine. You don't want to? Whatever. This is your call, what you want to do. I've got a job to do. And honestly, Tai pretty much takes him up on it and goes with. And Tai becomes a member of the COG. So we see throughout the story that Tai becomes, he's still very tribal. He is still the heart of a warrior. He still carries his people. But we also learn he picks up a lot more of like the main continent of the planet Sarah. And he adapts their ways, learns about them. He starts wearing armor. He gets bulkier. And this man, by the way, is very thin. When we meet him in 2, he's already gone through his bulkiness phase and he looks pretty heavy. He was not always like that. Look at Rom's Shadow, for instance. He was a lot more lean. When you see him in the comic, this man looks like a twig, but a twig that could snap your neck with a pinky. We have Tai. And he's adapted all of these different ways of war. He now has guns instead of a bow. And you take everything from his tribal time and how he's just this peak warrior of the apex. Like, he's the apex of the islands. For human-wise. We still have the Wakatu flying around in a different portion of these islands. We have all of that. And now he's adapted the ways of the warrior cog-wise, like a soldier. He's now not just a warrior, but a soldier. He's wearing armor. He's this deadly SOB. He's joined the 26th RTI, where Marcus was from. We had Carlos was from there. Bernie was a part of it. All of these people, he's now adapted their ways. This man has become an uber warrior of death and destruction. Quite literally. This man kills constantly, and nothing can take him out. And he goes through, Pendulum Wars is over, yay, we're all good, copacetic. Then the Locust War begins, and this man keeps tearing through. This man is death and destruction. At this point, too, it's mostly fighting with his brothers in arms. He's not even fighting for his warrior friends, family, and all that from his village. He's just doing it because he's a soldier. He's now a part of this family. And that's where we get to the situation kind of changes a little bit. Like, we're no longer doing this for taking out the soldiers who did this. He is now pretty much, just like everyone else, a soldier. And we have his little quips of wisdom and other stuff that he just pulls out of nowhere. Like, the emotion is like the moonlight. Things like that. His philosophical side, which is hilarious. Now that I've painted that background picture for you, understand, we make it to Gears of War 2, where we pick up and we first meet him in the games. Understand, up until here, warrior of death and destruction, goes through, learns the ways of the soldier, goes through. This man is one of the scariest dudes in the world. You are lucky he's on your side. Nothing can kill this man. He is a walking thing of death. And, to top it all off, a little one I just skipped I should probably bring up. This man is close to Marcus. They are brothers in arms. They have fought together constantly. Same for Tai and Victor. Like, everyone knows Tai. Tai has saved Marcus's life more than once. At one point, he saved it with a buzzsaw against some of the Locusts. And this man is pretty much the reason that the Mark II Lancer exists, that Adam got word from Marcus about and was like, okay, we're going to do this. Skipping to 2 now, from there, we meet him, and you understand, this is a big dude. This dude does not go down. This dude is made to kill. Ben Carmine is introduced to all of this, and there's symbolism throughout all of the original trilogy. There's a lot, especially in the first and second games. One of the symbolic things we have in 2 is Ben Carmine is supposed to be us, the player. Like, we're being introduced to all this. We'd be the Greenhorns, and we're seeing all the characters. And Ben is told, time and time again, Tai cannot die. This man is death. I have said that many times, but trust me, there's a reason. He is everything you should fear about what the opposing side could do, but we have him on our side. Tai is destruction. Tai is this, at times somber, but at times just bloodthirsty, just killing machine. We even see at one point, I can't remember the name of the vehicles that Betty is, I don't remember off the top of my head. One of them explodes with Tai on it and his whole squad. It goes kaboomy. This thing weighs tons among tons. Just plow. Gone. Out comes Tai, just kicks out all the debris in the way, walks out, and we go through. We're doing land down, we're doing all of this. We finally get to where we're dropping in and we're going to take the Locusts on. Tai's with us. Morale is through the roof because Tai is right here. Death and destruction again is about to go down and fight on their terms. But there's one problem that comes up, and that problem is named Scourge. Scourge is a very interesting case, okay? So, a little background for Scourge before we get into this one-on-one fisticuffs match we end up with. Scourge is supposedly, quote-unquote, more powerful than Rom. I don't believe that. That's just something stated in the game. I think it was a heat-of-the-moment thing since he was taking on Tai. So, Scourge is introduced, the new leader that we have of the Locusts. This is what we have to be aware of now. And he flies in, and he's cutting tanks and everything in half by himself. He has a staff with a chainsaw on it, 2 ends, chainsaws. And he's coming for blood. Out comes Tai to take this man one-on-one. And again, I know we're leading up, the name of this video is like why his death mattered, and I know it's a big lead up, but you need to understand what leads up to what'll happen. This man, along with Dizzy, they both go in taking this guy on. And honestly, you're like, what the hell's about to happen? This is when Tai tells Dizzy, go. I'm going to handle this by myself. You get out of here. You get the vehicles out. Go. Get out of here. I will handle this. And Dizzy obliges because Dizzy understands, I can't take this, man. Like, even I'm going to get in the way. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to be a detriment to Tai. So he leaves. Which, to be fair, Dizzy has a lot of like pent-up feelings about what he did. He looks back on it, he's like, I shouldn't have left. I should have helped. He has a lot of that. So he takes on Scourge, and this is where in-game we leave. We go down into the hollow. We don't know what happens. But the comics pick up on this. And we see what happens to Tai. And I cannot stress this enough. A feat you have to give Tai. This man survived a one-on-one fight with Scourge. Remember that. He did not die. He lost, but he did not die. He goes in, and it does turn into straight up like chainsaws. I think at one point Tai busts out a knife. It's a straight up like, let's go. He does lose. And it's not that hard to understand because it is stated the Locusts are very strong. They are stronger than a normal human. But the fact that it took out Tai, it took leadership to take out Tai. That is a feat. Now, Tai is not dead. He is captured and imprisoned. He is taken down where he is just constantly tortured. And since Scourge is the leader of the Cantus, I can say this. He is religiously, to that extent, beaten and just destroyed. But he is still alive. It's very important to state, Tai was never killed by the Locusts. They did not kill him. They killed his will. They did not kill him physically. Again, Tai, this death and destruction you can't kill. He has not been killed yet. So he's constantly just beaten, destroyed, whipped, chained. Hooks are going through him. This man is being lacerated, eviscerated. He is still alive. They finally put him on a torture barge and he's sent out. And what we learn later on is that the torture barges, the torture cells you have, can also be used to convert humans over into locusts. Now, we don't know how far the technology is at that point, 14 AE. Again, we had Ukon working on that, and he was able to do it, but we don't know if they carried over. Again, Ukon's gone by this point. We don't know if they're still able to do this technology. But we do know that Tai could have been turned or just sent somewhere to do hard labor. We don't know. Imagine what he would have been as a locust. That would have been terrifying. But again, he's sent out. And during all of this, we learn through the comics, Tai's been broken. He does not have the will to go on because, again, from the islands, he's still tribal. He holds all of that, the culture, everything. He believes my spirit, my oneness, myself, my soul, all of that, it left. That's no longer constrained to my body. What I am is gone. There's nothing. Like, I am just an empty husk. That's what I am. Yes, I'm still moving, understanding, and all that, but this is just a shell. There's nothing here anymore. And that's when we have Delta come across him. When Marcus, Dom, I believe, was Baird with it? Yeah. Marcus, Dom, Baird, Cole, and Ben, when they all find him, he just comes on out. You can tell he's just been through the ringer. He is exhausted. His body is just on fumes. But this man is still standing. He is still alive. He's able to hold a gun still. And they give him a Nasher and they say, come on, we got to get going. We saved you. There's more people to save. Let's get going. Come on, we got to get out of here. And Tai looks at the Nasher. And he's just, this size, the look of his face of just disgust. I feel it's just the idea of just like, what they did to me, the things I've been through, everything, I'm just done. There's nothing left. This is the way out right here. And again, he's still understanding. He knows he's about to do. And he takes it. Everyone's like trying to figure something out. He's in the background. And he takes it. And this is the part that it's the viewer discretion advised. He takes it and unalives himself. This being, this human of just, again, death and destruction, that's where the quote-unquote death portion comes in. Nothing can kill him. The Locust could not defeat him. The UIR could not defeat him. A literal explosion and tons of metal upon this man could not take him down. The only person that could, realistically, by what we see, take down Tai was himself. There was no one else involved in that action. Tai took that upon himself. And even Ben brings up, again, Ben, us as the player, the symbolism we have there. I thought nothing could kill Tai, right? Like, there's nothing that could do it. He's one of the most badass there is, right? Marcus's face during all of this, when he understands what Tai is doing and he tries to stop it, The sheer look of distress and heartache in his face is one of the strongest you will ever see in Gears, aside from another video we will talk about this month. It was by far the most shocking I ever saw in that moment. It blew my mind away that happened. No pun intended. It was bad. Like, you felt that. And Marcus goes up, takes his tags off his body, and they say, let's go. It was crazy to see. I swear, like, the first time I saw it, I honestly just dropped. Everything inside me dropped. Like, seeing that, the meaning behind it, because, and we'll get to that right now, I guess, the meaning behind what happened. Again, we had such a long build-up for this, but understand this situation. You need to understand how indestructible Tai was. And you have this situation where you have these creatures that humans can't even fathom, killed off so many during E-Day. This one individual was able to fight them. He fought one of the leaders and lived. Nothing can take him down except himself. And it's the idea of, when it comes to the Locust, like, the symbolism is always like, they're horrid creatures that the understanding of the horrible things they do can't be understood. Like with the Berserkers and how they breed. The idea here is, these creatures were able to have a hand in taking out someone that we consider undefeatable, unattainably strong. The idea of this person is through the roof. They did it. What chance do we have if they're able to take out Tai? They were able to break Tai. What can we do? Look at Ben, the new recruit. You really think Ben's sitting there thinking like, yeah, we can still handle it? No. Ben's pissing himself. Marcus is in utter shock. He doesn't know how to take it. Dom is like, if Marcus is freaking out about this, holy hell. You have Cole and Baird. Baird's got in panic mode. See, this is what they're doing here. Do you see what they're doing? And Cole, the morale booster of all of Gears, has that one moment where he's like, holy shit. You can tell Cole was even feeling like, what the hell are we supposed to do? I don't know how else to put it. It was so impactful because this one beacon you had, aside from Marcus, remember, Marcus Phoenix, the hero of the Pendulum Wars. You have Tai, this indestructible force of nature that came from the islands and was around from the 26th RTI with Marcus. These two stood as unbreakable pillars. One of them just crumbled. You have one lifeline left, one thing you're looking up to. How are you going to deal with that? What happens when the last beacon of hope goes down? What do? Pretty much the backup was Tai. The backup symbol was Tai. That's gone now. You have one lifeline remaining. That's why it was so impactful. You took out, essentially this was a chess game, you took out the queen. Like, not the Queen Mira, but like the queen piece. You just took out the queen, the deadliest force we have. What are you going to do now? The pawns are getting wiped out. The pawns don't know what to do. You got maybe a rook. You got a bishop left. Maybe you got both the knights. I don't know. What are you going to do? And that's the moment where you kind of realize Marcus, and he never expresses this, but you can kind of come to it, especially when you see Marcus in the comics. Marcus kind of has to admit to himself, it's all on me. Like, and again, he sees himself as a soldier. He's not seeing himself as, like, I'm the one person that can do it. He's not Kate Diaz. He has to understand at this point, who else is really going to lead the charge here? Like, I trust Baird with leadership, but I would have to go for that, and then all we have left is Baird. We have a lot of people who aren't fans of Baird. Cole's not going to lead. Dom is too mentally unhinged, even at this point, before the next video in the series. It's all on me. And that is why Tais Death was a monumental thing to see in Gears. And that's going to do it for me. I just wanted to talk about that. It's been on the list. I have 3 of these set up, and I figured September, I've got 3. Let's do it. Let's get these out of the way. The next video I have up is going to be on another character. This one had a lot more visual impact than just the implications in the story. And the funny thing is, it meant more to just one singular person than just a group. So this next one, I'm excited to talk about because I've always wanted to talk about it. So that's going to do it. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank everyone for making this possible. And thank the patrons for making things possible. I looked at my schedule. I'm thinking sooner rather than later, once 2023 starts, we'll start the next discussion series. I think that's only fair. I counted out how many I have, what it's going to look like. I think that's the best bet. So look forward to, once December's over, maybe at the end, the last video I do for December, I'll announce what the series will be. So you guys have a great one. I'll see you next time. Later.